Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Spurs Up Show, best Gamecocks podcast on the internet. Today is Tuesday, September the 28th, 2021. Today's show, former Gamecocks football player Alex McGrath joins me. He does each and every single Tuesday to help break down South Carolina's 16-10 loss to the Kentucky Wildcats over the weekend, as well as look ahead to this weekend's pivotal non-conference matchup in Week 5 against the Troy Trojans. Guys, we got all that and more on a packed Tuesday show, and it's all brought to you by our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. Guys, Upstate Movers Group, superior moving service. They bring care and attention other companies can't offer because they're just too busy maintaining trucks and profiting off of them instead of focusing on service. Guys, service is what separates Upstate Movers Group from the competition. They're not a trucking company. They're a moving services company, and they're also employee-owned co-op. The movers are paid twice the industry average, and everyone on the crew is invested in your success. They have dedicated professional crew members, and they also offer black glove service. They offer end-to-end packing services, custom crating and packaging special items, and cleaning services as well. They're founded by Greenville natives and University of South Carolina alumni, guys, so a Gamecock-owned small business. They also offer 20 years of project management moving experience, and they can offer logistics and solutions that traditional moving companies simply do not have the skills for. Guys, whether in the upstate or across the state of South Carolina, if you have any moving needs in 2021, be sure to check out our friends over at Upstate Movers Group. You can find them on social media at Upstate Movers Group. Or of course, if you have any other questions, go to their website, upstatemoversgroup.com. That's upstatemoversgroup.com. Be sure to check them out and tell them Chris from the Spurs Up Show sent you. Let's get it. Joining us here on the Spurs Up Show as he does each and every single Tuesday, former Gamecocks football player Alex McGrath. Alex is going to help us try to figure out just what the hell happened over the weekend as the Gamecocks fall to the Kentucky Wildcats 16-10, now sitting at 2-2 overall and 0-2 in SEC play. We'll also look ahead to this weekend as South Carolina has what appears to be a little bit of a pivotal game against the Troy Trojans as South Carolina just tries to figure out things, especially offensively. But first things first, Alex, how was your weekend? Let's start on the positive, of course. I know we started here last week as well, but the USA dominating the Europeans. Again, starting on a positive note, we may not be able to beat Kentucky, but damn it, USA can certainly take care of business with Europe. How was your weekend first off? And also, of course, your thoughts on the Ryder Cup, man. It feels good today sitting here on a Tuesday with the USA coming out victorious.
It absolutely does. And what was the most dominant victory in the modern era? 19-9. That was just a throttling at Whistling Straits where most of our guys played out of our minds. Unlike what we saw Saturday evening, we just kind of dominated that from start to finish to where, halfway through Sunday, the match was essentially over and people were just playing for fun. And it's awesome to get a Ryder Cup victory. We'll see what happens when we go to Italy in 2 years, but that's the largest margin of victory in the modern era. So that was awesome to watch.
And so Koepka and DeChambeau, did they play nice all weekend, or was there a little bit of
they hugged.
They hugged. Wow.
At the end.
Wow.
You know what? It turns out Bryson's a lot less hateable when he's not wearing that awful hat. Like in a normal hat, he just looks like a normal guy.
And he wore a normal hat. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, the whole weekend. He didn't have that. I don't even know what to describe that hat as. It's like a 1920s era driving hat.
It's the Payne Stewart hat, right?
Yeah.
It's the Payne Stewart cap.
Yeah, the Payne Stewart
But
hat.
Payne Stewart was actually like a likable human being.
He was. And so that, it takes some of the shine off of it. But you know what? They didn't fight each other, thankfully. Nobody got stabbed in the back to the press. It was just an all-around win for us.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen Major League before, but somebody was saying, Bryson and Brooks after the USA beats Europe, and it's the scene where it's the end and like everybody's hugging, and then Wild Thing and whatever the third baseman, I guess names was, they go to hug and he hugs and he rears back and punches him in the face. It's like that
Roger
was that was Brooks and Bryson probably after. It's like, hey, I love you, and then bam, just knock him out. So whatever. Hey, USA gets the dub though, but unfortunately, we're not here to talk golf the entire time. We're here to talk the Gamecocks, and the Gamecocks did not get the dub. Final score 16-10. Alex, I put you on the spot last week. I'm going to do it again because we have to start right there. Offensively and Marcus Satterfield. Here's the thing with this loss in this game. I think you and I are both very grounded, realistic. We set proper expectations. I picked Kentucky to beat South Carolina. And I picked Kentucky to beat South Carolina by a 6-point margin, which is a little scary. I feel like I'm getting a little too good at this thing, and I know my team a little too well. Either way, that's a totally different conversation. But I picked South Carolina to lose this football game, and I knew the challenge that Kentucky presented. But I think for many fans, the problem they're having, and what's so tough to grasp, it's how you lost the football game. You know, we talked last year, Alex, if you're not going to be a great football team, and somebody like I used the example, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss really mastered this. If you're not going to be great, you've at least got to be entertaining, right? Because people are showing up, they're investing money in your program. You know, you're encouraging them to come out all week. You got to at least at minimum be entertaining. And it starts offensively with this football team. I asked you last week, thoughts on Satterfield, thoughts on play calling. And that's where fans, to a fault, that's where they first go. What's your overall thoughts on Marcus Satterfield? Because I am not one, the people that are calling for his job after the fourth game, I think that's crazy. But this running game is night and day different from last year, and that's not in a good way. I mean, is it more scheme? Is it more personnel? Like when you evaluate Marcus Satterfield right now here on this Tuesday, September the 28th, what are your feelings on Satterfield overall as a play caller?
I wish I had a spicy hot take to throw at you here, but like the thing that comes to mind is I don't think our offense knows what it wants to be. If that makes any sense whatsoever. It's you look at what we did in the first half, which was tough to watch. And then that first drive of the second half, it seems as though you come out firing on all cylinders. And it's like you have an incredibly mobile quarterback in Luke Doty that you seem hesitant to use in the run game, or at least give that option. You seem hesitant to roll him out to get him some more time, let him be dangerous with his legs, give that run pass option on the outside. We don't do that. Even like the third, that first fourth down we went to, like you had a receiver who he threw it to who wasn't even past the first down line. It seems very discombobulated and without an identity whatsoever. And, we continue to run what I'm assuming are draw plays, right into the heart of the defense that don't go anywhere. And I don't know why listen, I get it. I know you have to run the football to have success, but at the same time, if that's not working 3 games into the season, not 3 series into a game, you got to figure something else out. And it's like they're struggling to figure out who and what they want to be on offense. And that's really the best way I can describe it. And the other, like on the flip side of that too, I heard from a buddy that, a lot of the offensive line confusion is coming from the quarterback's actually making the protection call at the line. And so to me, that's something like off the bat, I would just stop doing entirely, because that's clearly causing some miscues in there.
Yeah. I mean, you have to make an adjustment. I love the point you make though, is that they don't even really know what they want to do and they don't know what they're good at. And I think one of the reasons for that though, is I think they expected to be good in the run game. I would imagine, right? I mean, you'd have to think so coming off of last year. And so now it's like, oh, we're not even good at that. So it's like, well, where do we go from here? And yeah, I mean, it's I can't wrap my head around it. I mean, it's the same group last year. And I don't know if you saw on Twitter, and Gamecock Twitter reacted accordingly, but I had the take of, man, maybe Mike Bobo wasn't all that bad when it comes to scheming the run game, because was it that? Is this offensive line just not as good as we thought they were going to be? I mean, you like to think you have the backs. I don't see in any universe how the backs aren't as good as you thought. I mean, but I do agree with you. There's got to be adjustments made. And I would definitely say the calling the protections and just stop whatever.
Yeah, stop.
Because
We're not there.
you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I'm not ready to, fire Marcus Satterfield, which again is nuts because I keep going back, Alex, to personnel. Do I think Marcus Satterfield is perfect? No, but like Gamecock fans, you knew what you were signing up for when you hired a head coach who'd never been a head coach, which again, this is not me in any way coming at Shane Beamer, but these guys are all learning on the job. Like Marcus Satterfield had never called a play at the Power 5 level, nor had Clayton White. So,
right.
I think the whole fire, the OC is crazy, but I'm just so hesitant to even like come for Satterfield's throat because it's like, I think it's a mixture of things. I had to guess. I think it's just a mixture of things. I don't think, and I said it in the summer and, we talked about it. South Carolina can't run the football. And I know, you said, like you have to run the ball to win and it's exhausting. It's annoying to say, but I just really look at this team as like, if they can't run the football, they won't win. That's it. Bottom line. If you can't even play to your strength on a week in, week out basis, I don't think this team's built to go through it 30, 40, 50 times and win a football game. I just don't see it. I don't think you have those dynamic playmakers on the outside to run that type of offense.
Probably not. But at the end of the day, you got to put yourself in the best position to score points. And if you're finding yourself in 3rd and 7 constantly because you're getting stuffed on a run play like that, that's not a recipe for success either. I would go back to your Mike Bobo point and ask you for the second week in a row, you did see the Auburn score
right
this weekend, correct?
Auburn escaping a terrible loss to Georgia State and Sean Elliott's boys. So
yeah, so
right.
Before we go back on the Bobo,
no. I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying I wish Mike Bobo was here. I want people to understand I'm not. But I'm like, my brain is just having a hard time computing what is going on the play calling note. Though, Alex, again, is it? And also, by the way, I said it very clearly after the game. I said it on Sunday to people I was talking to. I said it on the show on Monday. I am not fire Marcus Satterfield. I'm not fire any coaches after the 4th game of year 1. However, bro, be critical. These guys are getting paid a lot of money to coach football. Be critical. I'm all for it. And am I saying that things are perfect in regards to play calling? No, I am not. On your side of things, how do you feel about the play? Like the example, a lot of fans were upset about, oh, why are you going forward on that 4th down? Why don't you kick the field goal? And it sort of made me chuckle because I'm like, we were just complaining last year about a guy that kicked too many field goals. So I have no problem like with that specific 4th down play. Ball hits a guy in the chest. You got to make a play. I mean, that's it. If he makes the catch, Shane Beamer's a genius, but he doesn't. And that's something where, I had a caller make a point. Maybe Landon Sampson, a guy you're recruiting, maybe he does make that play. Maybe somebody else you sign makes that play. And it's like at some point, you got to just let ball players go make ball plays. And when they don't, see what happened on Saturday night. That's what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I liked that call. I understand, people griping about it because, at that point it was what?
13-7.
13-7. Yeah. So I mean, I understand the gripe about it, but at the same time, like, I like that play because I think you're going for the win and not to continue to push things further down the road. So I like that call. I understand why people don't, but at the end of the day, you're trying everything you can do to get a win against a team to that point. We're in that's 4th quarter, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, you're in a dog cat fight in the 4th quarter there, and so you're trying to get that win. So I don't hate that call at all.
I like seeing Shane Beamer err on the side of aggression versus being conservative. That's 100%. Kind of the way I view it, because again, it's hell, we had people in the preseason saying, oh, we should never kick a field goal, we should never punt, and it's like, you got what you asked for. What do you want? Play to win, not to lose. Play not to lose. You know what I mean? So I like that. I like the call. I like it. I can live with that. I'll say that. I don't like the execution. I can live with the call.
100%. And the guy running the flag route behind him was wide open, which is another issue entirely. But That's neither here nor there.
Play of Luke Doty. Did you have any concern with how he looked? I mean, again, it's tough when you don't have a running game, but.
I mean, I thought he threw the ball pretty well, to be totally frank with you, especially that first drive of the second half. I mean, he was sharp. He was hitting second and third options on a lot of those routes. I thought he looked really good. And so when you're talking about, I don't think we have the horses to, throw it 40, 50 times a game. Like, based on what I've seen the first 4 weeks of the season, I'd rather go that way with it than continue to do what we're doing.
Yeah,
because I think you've got some potential there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, Alex. In regards to play calling, like, what do you want to see more of? Do you want to see downfield passing? Do you want to see maybe something in the screen game or just different wrinkles in a run game? Like, what? Again, we're not sitting here. We're not paid to be offensive coordinators, right? But is there anything that sticks out to you as like, I'd really like to see us do this more and just see if you can have some success?
I think you got to get Luke Doty involved with his legs.
Yes.
And I don't know why we're not doing. It's curious to me, and there's got to be a reason for it. And maybe it's just a fear of we have absolutely no depth.
And I'm thinking maybe his foot's not 110%. But I agree with you. That is what there were so many times I felt like Saturday. I'm like, oh, if he just keeps that, it's like he's got it. You've got it.
Yeah.
So
100%, and that may be the entire thing, and that's why they're not doing it. So yeah. I mean, if I was going to point one thing out, it would be that.
Yeah,
like if he is purportedly running 4.40s, you got to keep some of those, and you got to get him on the edges with crossers where he can either keep it or throw it to somebody.
Yeah, his athleticism has got to be utilized. Alex, what's a shame really is moving to the defensive side. Unfortunately, what we're spending all week talking about is the offense, their ineptitude, their woes, and the fact that we're not talking about this Gamecocks defense and just the turnaround they've made. Because I've been very critical of the defense, even going into the game this past weekend. I just still felt like, you have holes here and here. And is this a perfect unit? No, it's not. But we got to put some respect on the freaking defense's name. I mean, they did everything possible to keep you in this game and give you an opportunity to win. I mean, you force 3 turnovers on your home field, you should win the football game. How baffling is it, I guess, Alex, to you that this defense is night and day different than last year? And you would argue they have less talent and they maybe don't have a defensive guru head coach, but it's just baffling to me too. And again, I give a round of applause, a standing ovation to Clayton White and his crew. They've done an incredible job just completely flipping this defense. I mean, Jalen Foster looks like Co Simpson out there. I mean, It's incredible. It's incredible. Overall thoughts and takeaways from the defense. And like I said, it's a damn shame we're not spending more time talking about them early here in this week.
Like, don't we lead the nation in turnovers forced?
I'm pretty sure we're up there. I mean, Jalen Foster is tied for the lead in all of college football in picks. He's got 4 interceptions.
So
in 4 games.
I mean,
that's insane.
One of our biggest question marks coming this season was the secondary, in addition to the wide receivers. Well, this was of course before we played a football game and we saw what was actually happening. But the secondary has been really good, shockingly good, almost to a point. We've had 2 picks against Georgia. Kentucky's, quote unquote, all world quarterback had fewer passing yards than Luke Doty and a turnover. And, defensive line's doing everything they can. I mean, we gave up a truckload of rushing yards, but we did force 3 turnovers and, they kept us in the game, and that defense has kept us in almost every game we've played this year, except for Georgia, which, again, offensive miscues there kind of put us over a barrel, but I don't know what to say. That's a ragtag group that's really found its stride, and that's going to be big for us coming down the latter stretch of the season.
Yeah, and like I said, you force 3 turnovers at home, and you hand the ball to the offense where the defense did. It's just no excuse. I mean, there's just no excuse for not winning that football game. And I know that's kind of stating the obvious, but again, the offensive ineptitude is really what kills you. I'll give you an opportunity though, Alex, because of course I've been putting out fires all week long, and there are folks out there, believe it or not, that are ready to jump ship, burn it down, fire. And I feel just insane saying that, but fire Marcus Satterfield, of course. And listen, I'm not saying be critical of Greg Atkins, because if this continues, he might want to polish his resume up. I'm not going to lie to you, because he's just a position coach. We'll go get another one. But ready to burn it down. And I think people, again, am I saying you should be happy with a loss to Kentucky, especially in the fashion that it happened? No, I'm not. But if you had realistic expectations, and that's why I kept saying last week, like, this is a game you'd like to win. It's not a must win. It's a swing game like all the others. And there are things that Gamecock football fans can stomach. What they cannot stomach is a loss to Kentucky. Alex, like I told you, the honeymoon's over, right? The honeymoon's over.
Yeah,
not even Shane Beamer is immune to when you lose football games, people just get upset. Bottom line. But what would your message be to Gamecock Nation? Again, I think we may have even touched on this exact topic last week when people were freaking out and overreacting. And I mean, it's year one, game 4. And here's the thing, Alex, you're exactly where I predicted you to be in the preseason. Granted, is it happening exactly like I thought? Like, did I expect your run game to be awful? No, I didn't. But you're sitting exactly where I thought you would be. And I feel like a lot of these folks that are just truly hitting the panic button 4 weeks in, you have nobody to blame but yourself, because these are the same people that were picking 7-5, 8-4, 9-3 like it was nothing, and really just not giving credit to the battle that Shane Beamer is fighting. And like you said, taking a ragtag group that the previous coaching staff left you, just trying to clean up their mess in year one. I mean, am I off base here? I think that's a pretty fair analysis of where the program is right now.
No, I mean, one, if we can take solace in anything, as bad as our offense has been, we have somehow been better than Clemson's offense, which that's a whole other podcast that we could get into. But, so take solace in that. Our defensive progression has been huge. Like, Luke Doty has had a lot of bright spots in 2 games. And for, all intents and purposes, this was his, 4th start ever?
First start of this season. So
yeah, 4th game he's really even ever played in, because for some reason the previous administration thought he'd be better served at wide receiver. Again, neither here nor there. But, this is going to take time. We've already matched last year's win total 4 games into the season. Like, everybody just relax. They'll figure it out. And if they don't, they'll make moves.
And nobody wants to be patient in today's day and age of college football. Coaches aren't getting 7, 8, 9, 10 years anymore. But I guess maybe, Alex, I just made the decision. Listen, you wanted Beamer. You understood the risk. You understood the pros of him being your head football coach. And you understood maybe some of the cons, that he's not experienced. Hey, when people ask in the preseason, hey, what's Shane Beamer going to do 4th and 3 down 13-7 in the 4th quarter? I don't know. He's never been in that position before. Maybe he looks back today and says, well, maybe I shouldn't have done this or I should have done that, even though Sunday he said I would 1,000% do it again. Good. He's starting to find himself as a head football coach. But they're all doing that. And I just think I'm not saying don't hold people accountable. I'm certainly not saying that. But this is not even their roster. These are not their players. You know what I mean? So I just think it's for fans to exert that energy of the negative energy of we should fire this guy, fire that guy. I just think it's unproductive 4 games into what fans need to acknowledge is a rebuild. Bottom line, it's a rebuild.
Well, I don't know how else you would. We won 6 games in the prior 2 years. I don't know what else you would call this. Like, so, I mean, yeah, we're under new leadership. We finally found a new voice, one that I think 99% of the fan base can agree they can get behind. And it's just going to take time. I mean, we've played 4 games. Let's see how the rest of the string plays out.
Yeah.
If it doesn't get better, maybe panic.
And all of your goals are in front of you. I want to make that very clear. Again, I picked South Carolina to lose to Kentucky in the preseason and still make a bowl game. So again, things have got to get better. There's got to be adjustments made. And that's what I want to move to next, Alex, which again, of course, we're talking, it is Troy week. And maybe in years past, that wouldn't have really mattered. But I tell you what, I think this is a big week for kind of football. Like, you've got a very pivotal 3-game stretch upcoming with Troy, at Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. And if you can get things straightened out on the offensive line, on the offensive side, you could very realistically be 5-2 after the next 3 games. And who in their right mind, even with a loss to Kentucky, would look back and say, oh, well, a 5-2 start wasn't that good? That's a dream start for Shane Beamer and company. But you look at this game against Troy. We talked about the spread a little bit off air, but you open up as a 9-point favorite. That line is dropped. The Gamecocks are a 7-point favorite against the Troy Trojans on their home field. outside of a win, obviously, Alex, because I think we can all agree, and I would tell you this, no matter what happens, it is year one. You just got to lock in for this thing. Hey, if it's a complete failure in 5 years, so be it, but I'm locked in. I told people I didn't make merch with the coach's name on it to bail after 4 games. I can tell you that much. But outside of the obvious, which is getting a win, what do you need to see Saturday? It's a non-conference game. If you go out there and beat Troy 40-0, like we talked about EIU, it doesn't matter, but there's got to be an adjustment made. And I want to see also how this football team, this program, this coaching staff, how do they respond to adversity, right? Losing in Georgia, it was expected, right? I don't know that there was a ton of adversity because you were a 32-point underdog, but you face real adversity now this week. Like we said, the honeymoon's over. Honeymoon's over. How do you respond to it? Anything specifically you look at this game, again, outside of a win, that you just feel like I need to see this weekend to, give me hope and feelings of momentum going into a pivotal game against Tennessee the following weekend?
So it's got to be progression on the offensive line front. It has to be. If you can get back, if you can fix the issues, because like it almost seems like it's more schematic than it is like a talent level thing. So if we can see progression on the offensive line from a run blocking standpoint, from a pass blocking standpoint, let's get Luke out of the pocket, let him use his legs. Like if we can see those things start to take shape, that's what I'd be looking for this week more than anything else. And if you win 24-20 and you get that stuff, that's big going into Tennessee. Because now, like, you've kind of seen that offensive progression that we've been looking for, for essentially, I don't know, 2 games now. Because, I mean, again, you had a GA start the first 2. Luke hadn't been practicing for several weeks. So now that you've kind of gotten those 2 games under your belt, let's start to see some progression there. Because even like, the question marks that we had at wide receiver, I mean, like, we've got some options there. We've got some athleticism and options there. I mean, like, Jalen Brooks had a drop. I know. Josh Vance continued to look good. Jaheim Bell continues to look good. Let's get these guys more involved. Let's get Luke moving around with his legs. Let's get him keeping some of these zone read plays and start to develop that piece of the offense. And then that can carry you through the next couple of games here.
Patience, perspective, and progression, I think, should be the 3 Ps of this season. Truly.
1,000.
If you can get better week to week, and if you're going to get better week to week, you're going to beat Troy. Bottom line, put some respect on Kentucky football. I know fans don't like to do that. Beat Troy, get better from Troy to Tennessee. I know it's in Knoxville, but they're not world beaters either, of course.
They're not.
Vandy the following. Like I said, this is a 3-game stretch you can take advantage of. Even if you were 4-3, I want to say, like you mentioned, you bring up the win total from last year, and it's just like you gotta count the minor victories. You know what I mean? But I think progression for sure. Getting those guys more involved, like you said, Alex. I mean, Jaheim Bell, he was listed one of my key matchups. Didn't even catch a football. You got to get the tight ends more involved in the game plan. I agree with you when it comes to the offensive scheme. I want to see more creativity with Luke Doty. I mean, unless his foot's not 110%, which I don't think he'd be out there if he wasn't healthy. Guy runs a 4.40. It just Will Levis ran the football for Kentucky. I mean, he was keeping it. So I don't know. Maybe that's on Luke. Maybe that's on Luke being a young guy and he's not making the right decision, the right read. But yeah, there's got to be an adjustment. There has to be an adjustment. And I guess my big thing, Alex, I would say that concerns me is you've blocked no one thus far.
Nope.
Nobody.
No, we really haven't.
So,
no.
And not to say it cannot be done, because I do agree with you. I think there's legitimate bodies up front that have played good football for you. Obviously, look at last year, but it's got to click, and it's got to click now. It's got to click now. Because, again,
it goes back to the other thing that we were talking about earlier. It's just like find your identity.
Yeah.
Figure out what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's obvious, starting from the beginning of the season, it's not what you thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you good at? Yeah. And I think the answer to that is exactly what we did on that opening drive. I think it's getting Luke comfortable in the pocket and him using his legs.
It can't be just pure guesswork week to week. I agree with you. You have to, even if you're going to be an offense that isn't very good, damn it, you need to know exactly what you do week to week to week. You need to have consistent goals of here's what we want to accomplish. Because again, I agree with you right now. It feels too just, we don't have a clue. we truly, we know what we should be good at, but outside of that, but again, I go back to how much of that is schematics and how much of that is Marcus Satterfield's up there in the box saying, I don't know who's going to go make a play for me. I don't know. I mean,
it could be that. It very well could be that. And I may be oversimplifying it, but it's just like, there just doesn't seem to be, plan isn't the right word. There just doesn't seem to, like, the plays don't build off each other. Right. And so, like, you've got to figure out how to make that work, whether that's coming out and throwing the ball to open up your running game. That's got to be Luke keeping some of these balls so the defense isn't just keying on the running back on those zone reads. It's got to be something, a different wrinkle you've got to put in there to keep the defense off of their toes to give you that success. And so that, the number one thing I'm looking for is that this weekend. Can you shore up the schematic issues, and can you keep the defense on their heels?
Yeah. Progression. Like I said, got to get better week to week. Got to make an adjustment. Bottom line, can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. Alex, I appreciate you taking the time. It's absolute pleasure. Thank you, honestly, because I tell you what, it's felt like early this week. It's been like basically therapy for Gamecock Nation. So I feel like I'm able to come on here with you and vent a little bit. So hopefully this time next week, we're having a more fun conversation. If we're not, I really fear for what the show next week. But let's not talk like that. All right, either way.
There's going to be a lot more ledge talking.
No, we'll have a good time next week. Alex, always a pleasure, my friend, though. Appreciate it. We'll do it again same time next week.
Sounds good, buddy.
Absolutely. He's Alex McGrath. I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time with an episode of the Spurs Up Show.